Yeah, we're Peter Panning it pretty hard. I don't want to grow up. It's like, you're 30 almost. It's like, no.
So last week while I was recording my intro here, there were cardinals outside picking through the yard and kind of messing with each other. There was one female and 3 males, the poor thing. And she was just trying to get something to eat, and all the males were doing their little courting thing and just wouldn't leave her alone. I think she just wanted a bite to eat. Well, this week as I'm recording, watching out my window, watching this little baby bunny rabbit eat dandelion leaves. Kind of cool. I love spring. I just love it. The wildlife is starting to come out, so hopefully this will be a theme. A new animal will be here every time that I record. But anyway, welcome back to another edition of Subversion, where I will bring you an hour or so of an interview with a talented musician. We'll listen to their music, chat with them about what informs their music, what it was like growing up, and what their thoughts just on life and death are. It's a really important thing that we're doing here. Other than just the content that I'm bringing you, I'm trying to fund charity projects. So just as a reminder, if you share this program with people, you are in effect expanding the program so that we can sort of create ad revenue and through promotion of these charity projects, help people out. And this week, what I've got for you is one out of Uganda. And Uganda is one of the most poor places in the world. And what this organization is Nakasaki, I think is how you pronounce it, Nakasaki Children's Home. And what they're trying to do is buy these sewing machines for these girls so that they have the ability to produce goods themselves rather than trying to work for an employer so that they can be more self-sufficient. So what they're trying to do is get $440 to buy 3 sewing machines for them. And I really think that things like this are some of the most important things you can do for people. There's sort of this third rail, right, where I think we have this thought that we can just give people money and that will make things so much better. But really, we need to be giving people the tools to help themselves. And, you know, it kind of goes back to the cliche of, which I've mentioned before, you know, teach a man to fish, you feed him for a lifetime, that whole thing. It's so important, and it's a cliche for a reason, because it's so true. To me, the most important thing that we can do is be generous in the tools that we give people to help themselves. Because it's not going to help these people if we just give them $440 to feed them for a month or 2. But really, this project is something that can really help these people in the long term. That can help them feed and house the people that they love in their lives. This video featured here on this charity project, which you can find at donorseed.com/project/487, and it features a girl named Irene talking about exactly why she needs a sewing machine. So yeah, it would really help if you go and check this project out and donate. And when you donate through DonorSeed and create an account, it actually gives you updates on the projects that you donate to. So at these certain milestones, the project manager will come on and, you know, kind of remind you, hey, this is where we're at, and, you know, this project is this far. And then once it's funded, they give you some sort of status and a thank you for funding the project. So yeah, I really like DonorSeed. I'd really like it if you guys would go sign up and donate to this project. And when you do, there's a comment section. Leave a comment telling them that I sent you. I think that would be a really cool thing to show exactly where this movement that I'm creating is going. Even if it's a little bit of help, even if it's just something like, you know, getting a couple people to throw money at this project to give these people sewing machines, that would really brighten my heart up. But anyway, let's get into our interview this week, and I will let my guest introduce himself. And as always, I will see you at the end there and give you my goodbyes for the week.
My name is Joe Scarpellino. I am a musician. I'm gonna cook. I play with Dead Larry, as well as do my own band called Smokin, Joe and Friends. I think that's what we're here to do.
Right on. So tell me a little bit about growing up. You're from Iowa City, right?
Yes, I grew up for the most part in Iowa City. I had a lot of moving the beginning of my life, most of which I don't remember. I was born in Idaho Falls, Idaho. I lived there till I was a 6-week-old baby and moved.
So you barely lived there.
I was barely there. So I don't remember that, of course. And then I grew up for like the first 7 years in a suburb of St. Louis.
Oh, okay.
So it was St. Peters, Missouri. I grew up there.
Missouri.
And then moved to a suburb of Chicago for 10 months when I was in like second grade. And then moved from there to Iowa City.
Okay.
So then from like when I was like 8 until I was, in my early 20s, I was in Iowa City.
Okay.
So
right on.
the majority of my growing up was in Iowa City for sure.
Okay. So how old were you again when you were in Chicago? Do you remember much of it?
No, I mean I remember I hated the school.
Yeah.
And my teacher was mean to me. I don't know if she actually was or if I was just very sensitive. But yeah, I had one friend, and I remember the Nintendo 64 came out that year when I lived in Chicago, or outside of Chicago, and my friend down the street, or a guy down the street, had one who immediately became my friend because I was such a Super Nintendo guy. Like I would, play Super Nintendo all day, every day, and then Nintendo 64 came out, and it was just like, oh my god,
right?
What is this?
How old are you again?
I am 28 years old.
Okay, so you're the same age as me. So the N64 came out. I got it pretty quickly after it came out.
I got it. I got like a year or so after it came out. I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I remember playing a lot of GoldenEye with my friends.
Everyone was so good at GoldenEye, and I was so not good at GoldenEye. Like I love the Nintendo 64, but not like. And I'll play GoldenEye with people when we have those days. But I'm not good. First-person shooters have never really been my friend.
Yeah, the new ones, a lot of games anymore are almost too fast-paced for me. Like I played the more recent Super Smash Brothers, the one that came out on the Wii. I don't remember which one it was, but it was just all my friends loved it, and I was like, there's no time for me to react. Like
maybe it's Brawl. Is Brawl for the Wii? I don't know. I played a lot of Super Smash Brothers in my day.
Yeah, I don't remember if
Melee, a lot of Melee, okay. And then Brawl was the one after that.
So Melee was on GameCube.
Melee was on GameCube.
Then yes, you're right. It's Brawl.
I've played hundreds of hours of Melee, I think.
But yeah, in the older ones, you at least had some time to react and kind of like get a sort of strategy so you could play a couple steps ahead. Whereas now it's like you don't have time to react. You just are kind of going on the fly.
Yeah, I feel that way with a lot of video games. I stopped playing video games about I don't know. I think one of the last video games I ever really, really played like a real person was Final Fantasy X.
Oh, nice.
So, which I loved. I played Blitzball for hours. But
yeah, I think I remember playing that more than the actual storyline.
yeah, that's probably true. But and then I kind of got into other stuff. I was busy, or I didn't have enough money for the new systems. I was, like just, either like, just barely out of high school and I just kind of fell off. And then when I got back into games, like, I don't know, 10 years later, they're so hard and fast. And like, I'll play a game for, 3 or 4 hours and I won't play for a week. I'll go back to the game and I have no idea what's going on. I can't control my character. I forgot all the special little things. And they're not going to tutorial me again.
Yeah, right.
So, but my band Dead Larry, they game a lot more than me. Like they're all in, they talk about games all the time. I just never been able to like get back on the train.
Sure,
it left me.
And if you're anything like me, you're probably too busy to sit down and actually play.
Yeah. So when I do, I need to play something that's either level based or like puzzle.
Sure.
Because then I can like do a one. I can do like a level or a puzzle and then stop.
Yeah, my girlfriend really likes Mortal Kombat, and she's been like every once in a while I'll sit down and like play a couple rounds with her. But I kind of, other than it just being super fast paced and you have to invest a lot of time memorizing the moves for each character.
Exactly.
I just get kind of bored of it because she kicks my ass.
Yeah, losing is a really good way to get me to stop playing video games because I just keep losing.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's my story with video games right now.
Yeah.
And then I do play a lot of RPGs. I'm looking forward to getting the new Mass Effect game whenever I have time to actually play the damn thing.
It came out a few days ago.
Yeah,
and,
really recent.
And one of my really good friends that I work with and I've been friends with for a long time came into work yesterday, and all he wanted to do was go home and keep playing the new Mass Effect. So I don't know anything about it, but from what I hear, is
it pretty dope?
It's super great. That's what he said.
Right on.
He wanted, we had an extra person in the kitchen, and somebody had to leave, and he immediately was like, I'm going to go home and play Mass Effect. Like, I don't need these hours. Like, so he's like losing money to go home and play.
I understand the feeling,
so,
certainly.
It must be good.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about Iowa City and coming up there, because from what I know of Iowa City, it's just like a college town that I've went to a couple shows. So I don't know anything about it.
Well, okay, let's be completely frank here. I did not grow up in Iowa City. I grew up in its sister city, what's considered like it's not a metropolis, so there's no suburbs, but if there were a suburb, it would be Coralville. Coralville.
Sure.
Land of coral, Coralville, Iowa. And,
in the middle of,
and it was, it's just outside of Iowa City, like it's a 15-minute drive. Like it's, it's as close as any part of anyway. So I grew up there, and I grew up a very, very nice part of town. I went to a neat school, it was walking distance. My best friend and I rode bikes. I don't know. Like I had a picturesque childhood in Coralville, Iowa. Like nothing, nothing too terrible happened to me. I mean, until I started making my own bad decisions as a teenager, that was on me.
Sure.
I guess bad is a wrong word. Made my own questionable decisions as a teenager. Growing up, it was cool. My parents were great.
Yeah.
My sister was, she was a pain. She was 4 years older than me, but we're still really close. Like, we didn't share friends, and that was awesome.
You didn't share friends?
We did not share friends. Like we were friendly to each other's friends, but like we weren't that close. So it's like, we were far enough apart that I had my stuff and she had her stuff, and it was fine.
Yeah, it's complicated when that happens, especially if you're in a small town. It's pretty easy for it to happen.
And it's, we're talking maybe like 25,000 people lived in Coralville, and a lot of them, I'd say damn near all of them were just suburbanites, families ages 30 to 50, raising some sort of kids and or like old folks. Like it was very nice.
Yeah,
there was no bad part of town, and people claimed that the poor part of town in Iowa City or Coralville was the bad part, but it wasn't. It
was like the trailer park.
It was nothing. It was nothing compared to like your inner city. The problems that they face. Like where I grew up, like there was none of that.
Yeah, and even in Minneapolis, the bad parts of town are pretty tame compared to.
It's no Chicago. Like the bad parts of Chicago are really struggling. There are bad parts of Minneapolis that are struggling too. But but Chicago, I feel like it's 5 times many people.
Yeah. No, I had some friends that lived in North Minneapolis, and they told me stories about like coming outside and seeing cars on fire, and
I haven't heard about that.
And one time they got a voucher to put some like large trash outside for pickup, and they put a mattress outside. And then the next day they woke up and someone was dropping off a bunch of mattresses right where they were at. So someone was, taking advantage. Oh, there's a garbage heap. I guess I could just pile on. And
like our Lookout 3 said.
So yeah, I mean, that's how the bad parts of town are around here.
Right. Yeah.
Probably not going to get shot if you look at someone the wrong way here.
No, and I feel like, a lot of times, there's not, I mean, I guess I can't speak from any sort of factual knowledge, but it seems to me there's not a whole lot of random violence like that. There might be random like muggings where people get robbed and like, they don't like, there's no intention of hurting them. They just like, scare people and take their money, whoever is robbing. But for the most part, like you have to be in the trouble kind of yourself in order to really get hurt, so if you can avoid those situations, do so. But, a lot of times you just can't.
Yeah. I know that this podcast isn't really about me, but I got mugged once.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've never been mugged.
It's not fun. I don't recommend it.
No, I would immediately just throw all my stuff on the ground and be like, here, because there's nothing I have at all. If somebody wants my stuff, because if I can get home, I can cancel my cards, which wouldn't be that exciting for anyone anyway.
Yeah,
my cash is usually under $10, and I guess you can sell my phone, probably the most beneficial thing.
Yeah,
but other than that, I don't care about that stuff. It's all backed up. Whatever.
Yeah, it's not going to ruin you.
Lose a couple bucks.
Yeah, and anymore with cards. If you call it in as stolen, then they'll just refund you the money anyway and stuff and cancel the charges on them. So it's not really you don't get screwed too bad.
Yeah. So let's see. But yeah, no, my childhood was great. Like I said, there's no bad part of town.
Mm-hmm.
Rode my bike with my best friend down to the ice cream shop and played putt and I really can't complain, about that part of my life at all. It was
on.
I started playing guitar. I guess my parents, here's a good childhood thing if we want to lead into music stuff. My parents, bless their hearts, bought me when I was 9 years old a drum set. And I've met 9-year-olds these days. As an adult, I've met 9-year-olds. And I look at my parents and I'm just, you are amazing. Although I think the reason was I set up all the storage boxes in my basement in a weird semicircle around me, got drumsticks, and just was kicking and hitting these boxes as a drum set.
Mm-hmm.
So it'd be okay, this is this drum, this is this drum, this, and I just hit the boxes. And they're like, well, he's destroying our stuff hitting these boxes, so we should just get him a drum set. So I got a $300 drum set from West Music in Coralville, Iowa. And, started playing drums. And then my dad taught me how to play acoustic guitar when I was 11. I started, and then that quickly led to bass at 13, 14.
Okay.
I played cello in elementary school. I played trombone in band. I was always so very, very musical.
Right on. So was your family a musical family too then, since your dad taught you how to play guitar?
Yeah, everyone can play a little bit. My mom and dad can both play a little guitar. My dad plays the same songs that I love, and that he whenever we hang out, and if I ever get a guitar in his hand, it's always Dust in the Wind right away. And he has these quintessential dad songs that he just has muscle memory still for. But I think it was definitely more of a hobby and a sitting around a fire with your friends kind of thing for my dad, and he didn't really pursue any with it. But guitar is well, if you learn all of these chords, then you can have a guitar. And so a week later, I'm just all right. He's all right, well, you got to be able to switch between them. So I'm okay, 2 weeks later, when we had guitar class in elementary school, I just sat in the corner and learned a song and then played it. Because I was so already on the level. Guitar is something that I've always wanted to do.
Right. So, and I suppose being classically trained too, since you were in band and everything,
that's funny. I was in band for 2 years and I was in orchestra until 8th grade, but all that's gone. There's no, I did not retain how to read music. And I don't know if you could say that a cello teacher in Coralville, Iowa is, necessarily in public school necessarily is going to be, classical training.
Sure.
But from guitar standpoint, drum standpoint, all that stuff, I just taught myself.
Okay. So you mostly are playing by ear and by tabs and whatnot.
Tabs, dude. The internet had just come out. I remember when we got our first AOL dial-up modem, in the den. If you called it a den, it was a tiny little second living room.
Yeah.
In 2nd grade, and then by the time I started playing guitar in 4th or 5th grade, I could go online and could look up tabs. It was just numbers, where your fingers go, and you just figure it out. So I'd say early tablature on early internet is really where I learned how to play guitar.
Yeah, those really clunky sites that just had some sort of rudimentary script.
And I'd print them out, and I'd print those fuckers out, man. I would just print, ultimateguitar.com.
Oh, yeah.
Still use it.
Yeah.
I learned how to play tons of Metallica, kind of. I learned this, and I never would really push myself that hard on learning lead stuff because I've always been a rhythm guitar player, and I've always used guitar to put behind my voice and not really guitar to be my voice. If that makes any sense?
I think it does.
Yeah. So like I've never really tried that hard to be a lead guitar player, to learn lead parts, because like it's not what I want guitar to do.
Yeah. And
this day and age, and in my life right now, I have enough lead players in my life that I can just play, and then I, can have other people that is their voice. They can come in and do it over me and way better than I ever could. So.
Sure. What's your guitar player's name again?
My guitar player in Smokin' Joe and Friends, which is the focus of this, I guess, is Bobby Patrick. And he has played with acts like Gypsy Lumberjacks. He plays with the Burbillies. He is the Bob Pat band. So like Bobby Patrick, Bob Pat. He's the Bob Pat band. Okay. He's my lead guitar player with all things Smokin' Joe. Like he's like, we can play shows either us two or we can add another 7-piece band, but it's usually me and Bobby. And then my guitar player in Dead Larry is Ned.
Ned was the guy I was thinking of. Who looks exactly like Ned Flanders.
Yeah, no, Ned has changed his look. When I met Ned, he had, hair to the middle of his back and a beard down to his sternum, and he was like 15 years old. Like this kid could grow a beard like in the womb, I swear to you. So he's always looked older than he is, and Ned, but I think he has since cut his hair shorter, tries to keep his beard under control. Mm-hmm. Whereas I still can't grow a full beard at all. It's patchy and it's too light. It's very weird.
Yeah.
But Ned's like, if I were to say my lead guitar player, like that would probably, it's a toss up just because it depends on what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. Because Ned, now that we're on the topic of Ned, is Smokin' Joe and Friends long time, pretty much the whole time I've ever done Smokin' Joe. He's our bass player.
Oh, okay.
So Ned plays bass with Smokin' Joe and Friends, and he plays lead guitar in Dead Larry.
Right on.
And he is the most, lead guitar players are kind of known for just being douchey, and no offense, lead guitar players, but like, like they have like just a way about them where it's just, very a little rock starish, very all about like they need that lead guitar player attention. Yeah. It's almost as bad as a lead singer, and which I am in Smokin' Joe and Friends, so I'm not talking too much shit.
You've at least got authority to talk shit.
I know, and I do it for the attention. I mean, don't lie.
Hey, at least you're honest.
At least some of it is for the attention. It's an emotional outlet, and I get lots of attention doing it. Yeah. But Ned is the least lead guitar player I've ever heard. We have to force him sometimes to like really get out there and like do bigger stuff, which I think is really refreshing for everyone. Yeah. That hears Ned play guitar, because you're not getting it shoved in your face. You're getting like a really tasteful, thoughtful lead guitar part that you wouldn't necessarily get from a normal lead guitar player.
Does he still wear a mask on stage?
It depends. It's show to show and almost sometimes song to song. Like if we're playing in a new place and we're playing all night and we start at 9 p.m., there's no way he's wearing a mask because there's like 6 people there. And, it's more of a big production thing. Or, if at 11 o'clock that same night we have a bigger crowd that has shown up, then it'll be like, okay, time to rage, and puts on the mask. You know what I mean? Sure. And he has several masks that he uses. I don't know if it's for different songs. I don't know his method. I just look over and he has a different one on. But yeah, he still does the mask thing, but it's very thought out, at least if not just in the moment. I don't know if he has a premeditated plan for the mask or if he just kind of does whatever.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was like kind of a security blanket thing for him because he does seem like a bit of a shy guy.
I think it was like the mask came from originally like he didn't wear a mask, and then one holiday or Halloween probably, I assume, he wore a mask and he was raging harder when he was wearing the mask, and we're like, oh yeah, that's a cool thing. And, he really liked wearing the mask. So then that was it, and like he could, not focus on, people looking at him or him looking at people. He could just play. But I think he's kind of gotten used to it over the years. Mm-hmm. Sure. That at this point he doesn't need to wear the mask, but by any means, but it's still kind of, it's one of our many shticks that we have. Like one of our many, it's us, Dead Larry, by a few different reasons.
The Guy Fawkes mask.
Yeah,
that's what I always.
Exactly. Yeah, that was like the right place, right time for and the right videos were shot, and like everybody like So whenever he does wear the Guy Fawkes mask, which is very rare, I think he's nervous to wear it because it's been affiliated so much with other things. Like he doesn't want someone to think that like he's like because he's a well-mannered, soft-spoken, like lovely person, and I don't think he wants to be associated with anarchy necessarily in its violent form. I don't know. I think there's been a lot of stigma around the mask.
Yeah,
and I think that then that's enough. It's just like
sure.
Don't give people any more reason to freak out. So
right, which is kind of funny that anarchists would wear the Guy Fawkes mask because it's like a Time Warner production, so it's like they're kind of like in bed with the whole state and everything. So it's like
the mass production of those masks definitely came right after V for Vendetta. So it's like I don't think there was a mass production of those masks. I mean, production, sure, maybe, but mass production, like as you can find them like every Halloween, no matter what. Like
right.
That was a movie biz thing.
Yeah. So I remember the first time I came across Dead Larry. I know that this is mostly to showcase your other project, but I remember
we need to talk.
I remember hearing about Dead Larry when I was at 10K one year.
Wow,
and that was the first. And it's kind of funny, like you're an Iowa band, you'd think that I would hear about you guys in Iowa, because I was an Iowan.
You'd think, but no,
but no,
not how it works.
And you guys have very clever branding because we saw this flyer for Dead Larry, and I don't know, it brought us there, and we had a good time and stuff. So
10K. We had never ever heard or thought of a music festival in the way that we know music festivals. We had never conceived this notion. But in 2008 was the year, in the spring, we were just trying to get out there as a band. We had just gone on a big national, and I'm putting air quotes, national tour where we had like 12 shows over 2 months. Like, and they went all the way to Los Angeles, California. Like, nice. I mean, we played shows there. It happened. But, this was not a tour. This was a tourcation. This was just a bunch of, but right after that, we went and we played a bunch of Battle of the Bands in Iowa City, and like we didn't care what it was for, and at all. We just wanted to win battles because we had a good young, dedicated fan base, a bunch of crazy kids, and we played a battle and we won a spot at Camp Euphoria, which is the local festival in Iowa City that put on by Euphorchestra. Still doing it. And we won that, and then that was a week before 10K, and then we played a 10K battle and we won that. So like
nice.
So like and then it was like, oh, all this stuff is in July. So within 2 weekends of July, we go to 2 music festivals for the very first time, and we have no idea what's going on. Like 10K was a just mind-blowing experience for all of us. Because we got one guest per person to 10K, so we brought all of our knowledgeable friends and like whatever girlfriends we had at the time, 2 of them, I believe. And it was crazy. It was absolutely insane. And like the people we brought with us were like had been to festivals and like led us around, but I had never seen people behave like that. Like they're it's like,
and that's a really far out festival. Like people get fucking crazy there.
It was crazy. And seeing the Flaming Lips for the first time and not even knowing who they were really, I've heard the name Flaming Lips, of course, growing up, but like I never really got into them. Like, it wasn't because I didn't want to, it just, never happened. And then I'm, all blissed out watching the Flaming Lips, and it just blows your mind. I saw Wookie Foot there for the first time.
Yeah.
And that changed my whole life. Like seeing Wookie Foot, and our very first EP that came out in 2007, maybe 6, 7, or no, maybe it was 8. Maybe it was that whole year. Well, no, it was 2008 because we had our Wishing Well EP, which had like 6 songs on it, and I remember handing it to Mark Murphy of Wookie Foot and being like, I like your band, I'm from Iowa, and they were just larger than life. And now, it's like fast forward almost 10 years, 9 years, and these are people's, all these people, like not the Flaming Lips, but like Mark Murphy, a lot of the local, all the Minnesota music that was there. Mm-hmm. I can call them on the phone. I can look them up and just be like, "Hey, what's up, guys?" And the crazy thing, we're talking about 10K, which is really exciting. The crazy thing about that time was that all of this generation of bands won that battle. Useful Jenkins won that battle in Mankato.
Nice.
Roster McCabe won that battle in Minneapolis. Sovereign Sect won that battle in Fargo. The Limbs won that battle in St. Paul. Like these are like all these bands. Lunar Funk Theory won that battle from Sioux Falls. So we were all there at 2008.
Which I think all of those guys are still around besides Roster McCabe.
Well, Roster McCabe's done, Lunar Funk's done, Sovereign Sect's done.
Oh, okay. I guess I've been out of the festival kind of circuit
it's
for a while.
And some sooner or later than others, and there are also like offshoots.
Sure.
Of all these bands.
I'm sure all those guys are still doing stuff.
Everyone's doing something. Well, fuck, dude. The lead guitar player Mike Dahm of Roster McCabe is now the lead guitar player Particle.
Oh, okay.
So like, he's doing all right. Like,
I'd say so.
And then the drummer of Roster McCabe, Jeff Peterson, went on to play with Cosby Sweater, which turned into Turbo Suit.
Okay.
And
I've heard of Cosby Sweater.
Yeah. When they changed the name into Turbo Suit because of the whole thing,
Oh, yeah.
That happened at that time. They're like, we can't be Cosby Sweater anymore.
Yeah, I don't blame them.
Yeah. No, it's fine. But it's just all these bands. And then over the next, half a decade, 5 or 6 years, we all played Harmony Park because there was only one more 10K after that. It was 2009, and then it stopped, and we didn't get into 2009. But we played Minneapolis, and we played Harmony Park, and like these bands like have turned into like family members. Like we don't always talk, but like, and it was just that one 10K that we all of our bands just like on the scene, and I haven't seen anything like that happen since that happened.
Yeah,
and then Wookiefoot corralled us all in, and we're like, you're the Iowa guys, and you're the South Dakota guys, and you're the North Dakota guys, and you're the Mankato guys, and we all made a bunch of years at Harmony Park really, really, really fun.
Yeah, no, that was a really fun festival, man. Slightly Stupid was there that year.
Kinetics.
I don't remember them.
That's okay. I saw that.
Wookiefoot, though, that was kind of cool to see them during the day because if anybody out there's ever been to Harmony Park and saw Wookiefoot, the whole thing is like the light show and everything, but I had a lot of fun
performing. They had a lot going on. They had, I think it must have been Chuck Hughes probably. I didn't really think about this, but was dressed up like Mario, like painting on stage. I'm guessing it was Chuck. I don't know if it was.
He's usually the guy on stage painting.
He's been that way for a long time.
He's a really cool dude.
But everybody was there. John Wayne the Pain was there. I didn't see him, but I know he was there. He was everywhere.
Yeah. Right on. Yeah, I haven't really gotten a chance to talk to anyone on this about Harmony Park, but I mean that's been a huge part of my life, man. Changed my fucking life. I was I think I was sort of a lost person before I went there. Like I don't know. But yeah, that's kind of why I went there. But I found something a lot different, I don't know. I learned a lot about a sense of community that I never had before. And it was such an accepting place. Like I've always been a weird person, but I mean, people accepted me as a weird person there, rather than tolerated me as a weird person there. So yeah, I felt a sense of kinship.
Right. There. Yeah. And I mean, I guess for me, it was the same effect, because I think the first time I went to Harmony Park was the fall after I'd been to 10K. Because after 10K, I was hooked. We were all hooked. Like it was like the festival scene itself was a drug. You know what I mean? Like everything, like we wrote an entire album like based on like festival experiences. And I know other bands that have not entirely based on, like it's not as obvious, but and then you go to Harmony Park and it's just a matter of there's so many people that are a lot like me, which was the first time I'd been in a crowd of thousands of people and looked around and been like, I think I could, see eye to eye on a lot of things with a lot of these people. Maybe not, of course, everything, but
sure.
And that was crazy. That was nuts. Like, it's like, adults acting like children, which was really fun because, as our generation grows up, we don't want to grow up at all. We're the Peter Pan generation, very much so.
I've never heard that description of our generation.
Yeah, we're Peter Panning it pretty hard. I don't want to grow up. It's like, you're 30 almost. It's like, no. And so many people I know. And you figure out your life and you figure out your responsibilities and your place within society slowly but surely. But I think this sense of wonderment hasn't been lost as much, we can still fly, as it were. Yeah, air quotes, Peter Pan. But yeah, Harmony Park changed my life. I spent a lot of years trying to get on top of it and trying to conquer it as a band until I realized that that's not a thing, because it's, as much as you think it's this big magical whatever happens, there's also a lot of business behind it, and there's a band, and there's what they like and how they think things should be, and that is their right, and what they they get to decide who plays when, where, who they're bringing in, and what experience you have when you're there at their festival. And for a long time, it was I had this idea that, I could conquer Harmony Park. You just move up the ladder like a business.
Sure.
You go from, treasurer and you're vice president and you're a CEO or CFO or whatever, you move up. And that's not how it works, because you got to fit this concept of what they want their event to be.
Sure.
So once I figured out that just because we weren't playing main stage Friday night, by the time we've been playing there for a few years, just because we weren't doing that doesn't mean that we aren't doing something good and doing what we, we're still a part of it, but it's good to find that balance between making Harmony Park a part of your life and making it your whole entire life. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So I fell down that hole, drank the Kool-Aid, as they say. But, fell in love with a lot of people, made lifelong friends, dozens of lifelong friends.
Oh yeah. One of our camp neighbors, still to this day, I'm good friends with a lot of those people, and yeah, they become family.
Yep. And
Definitely.
you don't question it. And a lot of those relationships are what do people consider the best kind of relationships? The kind where you part ways, and then when you meet again, you just pick up right where you left off.
Yeah.
A quick hello, how are you? Make sure there's nothing crazy going on if they need any assistance, or hugs or whatever. But otherwise, you just kind of pick up, and there you are again, and then there's your friends.
Right.
No, Harmony Park changed my entire life, and we put on our own music festival now because in the sort of a model of that, it's we're never going. I don't think we're ever going to, unless we become very successful outside of Harmony Park. I don't think there's any way we would become a headliner status at Harmony Park because of, just what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But so we started putting on our own music festival, partly just because it's fun to play Saturday night headliner spot. You know what I mean? And you can do that when you put on your own music festival. And then you realize how much work it takes, and how many different people are coming at you from all angles. And then even more so, I understand, where these guys are coming from and why, how hard it is to, if you're not, exactly what they need to put where, then, and they have a whole history of connections behind them,
Sure.
So Harmony Park's crazy. And Harmony Park's not Wookiefoot either. Harmony Park's a lot of different people.
Yeah, right.
Well, I guess I was just talking about Wookiefoot Festival specifically.
Right. Yeah, so I think maybe I've heard rumors or murmurs about your guys' festival. Where do you guys have that?
Our festival is in southeastern Minnesota. It's called the Galactic Get Down.
Okay.
It is an outer space themed music festival. So there's a lot of rock, a lot of spacey stuff. We do have a little bit of bluegrass, a little bit of reggae, one or two jam bands, and just a lot of rock and roll and a lot of even some hip hop. But it's the last weekend of July 27th to the 29th, 27th to the 30th, something like that. The last weekend of July. It's us, that one guy's playing.
Nice.
Who we met in Harmony Park,
yeah.
Mike Silverman. He's a wonderful man. And then we have Aaron Cam and the One Drops from St. Louis. We got all the Minneapolis necessary bands like Frog Leg and Kind Country. Mara and the Mainsail is a big band from up here that I think they're in a different scene in Minneapolis. We're all in Minneapolis, but they're in a different scene than we are. They're not in the festival scene so much. They play music festivals every once in a while, but they're more in like an indie scene, an alt rock scene.
Sure.
And I just love them.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
Right on.
To put them in front of a bunch of hippies.
I remember meeting that one guy at Fat Fest in
Heard
Wisconsin.
of, never went.
It was a band, Fat Marooney. I don't know if they're still around, but they put it on this ski resort. It was a weird situation. Like you had to camp on a hill. It was weird.
Slide a little bit.
Yeah. Makes you feel a little odd at night when you're all drunk and trying to crash. You don't know if you're spinning or if it's just like, your orientation with the earth. But it was right after he had like got his van stolen or something, and
with his pipe in it.
Yeah, and he like had built one within like a week or two before he got there, and he was supposed to play a festival in Clear Lake of all places. It was like
we played that festival.
Oh, did you?
It's called Better Than a Dream Festival.
And I hear it went pretty badly.
It was not better than a dream. And I know the people that put it on at the time now still, and they are doing wonderfully.
Okay.
But at the time,
I'm sure they learned a lot.
It was not a good time.
Yeah.
It was they had all the best intentions, but it was hard to get anyone to go to Clear Lake for these bands.
Yeah.
I think.
The kind of people that you'd want for a music festival.
Right.
Not exactly.
No, I think
they don't want to go to Clear Lake.
Yeah,
I don't blame them. I grew
think
up
their
there.
planning skills were amazing, and their execution was just, it was a difficult execution.
They just chose the wrong place to land.
Yeah, but the people themselves, I just love them to death. They're great folks. Like
for sure. Well, I'm sure we could babble on forever about music festivals. But,
yeah,
but let's talk about some of your music, man.
Sure.
You got a couple songs to share with us today?
Yeah.
Place with No Walls is one of the ones that you were interested in talking about.
Place with No Walls. It is my number. If I were to have a number one hit in my life, if you were to just put all my songs in a list of importance, which I have to do because I play them, Walls would be the most important song I think I've ever written.
Right on.
It is played in a lot of different variations. There's the Dead Larry Way, which you can. I think that's the only legitimate recording I have is going to be the Dead Larry Way. Electric guitars, guitar solo, a little bit of reggae in the verses, but not really so much. And then like there's a cool clip thing that I added on the original recording, on the Dead Larry recording. I wrote a paragraph, which I could have prepared, but I did not. I wrote a paragraph. Stating, kind of what the song was about, and I took each line of said paragraph and recorded with my phone, the first year of smartphones, took my phone and recorded different people saying one line at a time, and then at the end of the couple months, I patched it together. So we had like everyone in the band, my girlfriend at the time, Alyssa Bay, and other people's significant others. One ended up being my drummer, ended up marrying this girl, so she's still around. Mark Murphy from Wookiefoot, Grandma, their Wookiefoot's manager, is on there. John Eric, the banjo player, is on there. My best friend since junior high is on there. I just recorded a lot of different people recording this one part, and I clipped it all together, and that's at the end. And it's all credited on the CD. I think it might be findable on the CD. You can definitely find on the internet. I just don't know if the credits you can.
Okay.
But that song really spoke to people, and I played it over and over and over. And it's all about taking care of your environment and living in the moment. It's all about realizing that you're infinitely small and infinitely large and infinitely insignificant and infinitely significant. And, while all of that is extremely contradictory, it's all pretty true.
Absolutely.
You find yourself within one moment And if you can find yourself and live within that moment, then it's very freeing. It's where freedom, the idea of open-mindedness, that's where that comes from. Is try no past, no future, just what is. So that's and a lot of my songs, and this is true for every song I'm going to talk about. It's not how I am necessarily. It is how I am sometimes, but it's also how I wish to be. When you write a song that's as like hopeful and like trying to be inspirational as a song like Place with No Walls, it's important people understand that, I try to live what that song preaches all the time, but I don't. You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
And I think a lot of songwriters get a lot of flack for that because like they're writing a song with their best ideas in mind, but day to day, case to case, like you don't always live up to how inspirational your songs are.
So, shit, you're hungry and and someone's taken forever in the line in the gas station.
It's like, oh, it's St. Patrick's Day and I got too drunk and I did some stupid shit. It's like that doesn't really fall in line with my inspirational words, but it happens,
Sure.
So Place with No Walls, and this is a song where like I played it acoustically on Monday, and this artist named Tatiana, who I've known for a long time, she paints at Harmony Park. She was there and heard the song acoustically. I'm sure she's heard it. Like I am telling you right now, she's heard it at least a couple times, but she had never heard it before. She never listened to it. And she's like, do you have that song on CD? I'm like, yeah, it came out on a Dead Larry album in like 2015. 2011. 2011 is when that came out. So yeah, I was like, it has been way longer than that. 2011 is when the song came out on the Dead Larry CD. And, I'm still getting people that I've known for years hear it for the first time and just freak out about it. It's a song, that if you listen to the words and you're into that sort of thing, environmentalism and idealistic, I don't know. It's not, I hate to say spiritual because I'm very much an atheist, but very non-judgmental version. Sure. But it just speaks to people, and I hear about it more than any song, and people will listen to it. And I have a really good friend of mine that still to this day, if I'm playing a big show with Smokin Joe, like, and I play this song and he's having a bad day, he'll just cry. I make people cry a lot with this one, or with a lot of my songs. My best friend Bobby, like that's one of his catchphrases for me is "Make motherfuckers cry, Scarps," because I'm gonna make motherfuckers cry with my songs because it's really emotional.
It's quite the nickname.
Yeah,
I would wear that like a badge of honor.
Scarps is the short name.
many challenges in life that cause us pain, sorrow,
and despair.
feelings put up walls inside of us,
Whether to protect ourselves from the world.
or to keep us safe from our own minds.
walls are desired for protection. I know a different place. A place where these walls are forgotten. A place where the fear of death has been accepted through the overwhelming love of life. This is what we're all waiting for.
Envy. Betrayal.
Fire keeps us in, only with love.
Can we find our place?
The place with no walls.
And then the another one you got is The Only Thing That Means Anything.
Yep. And I had The Only Thing That Means Anything is about love. Spoiler alert. Love is the only thing that means anything. Because I guess, just as lame as it is to say that love is my religion after saying that I'm a hardcore atheist, it is. I believe in it. I think it's one of the only things I believe in that I cannot prove.
Yeah.
Other than feelings, and feelings aren't facts. But The Only Thing That Means Anything is a song I wrote about, and we're going to start going into a direction where I'm going to explain a lot, because I had to pick a few songs, and this is one out of many songs that are about and written during my experience with a woman named Alyssa Bay. And we dated from when I was 17 until I was 22. And she had, when she was 12, she had idiopathic cardiomyopathy, which means her heart was shit, and she got a heart transplant when she was 12. And then fast forward, I met her just out of high school. I was 19. Yeah, I was 19. She was 18. And we met at a rave back when they actually happened. And we fell in love, and we had a bunch of years of dating that were carefree, and then her heart started to not work. So she was in and out of the hospital, first, every once or twice or 3 times in the first year. And then it was like every couple months. And then it was like more often than not. And by the end, we were practically living there. So a lot of the songs I've written are about that time, like where we went from a happy-go-lucky festival, because she went to tons of festivals. She met all these people that we've talked about, all of our friends in those early years of festivals. And she passed away actually this Saturday, March 25th, will be 6 years.
Damn.
So she passed the day Dead Larry's album As the Radio was released. The day of. We had a CD release show planned in Iowa City, and then that day she had passed, and then I played that show. Mm-hmm. So this crazy amount of emotion, going, 'cause at the same time it was a terminal illness, and terminal is not a fun word, throwing it around, but right. So there was knowledge that it was going to end, but then, and just like this, and she sings a song with me on, this is a song I wasn't sure if I wanted to pick, but it's called We Were Pirates. And she sings that song with me on the As the Radios. So she's on the album that came out the day she died.
Jesus.
This happened,
Yeah.
And it's crazy. So there's this huge time in my life where we even had a code where if she, I could go play shows on the weekends if she was in the hospital, as long as she wasn't in the ICU. If she was in the normal ward at a hospital, just, being monitored, that was fine. I could go, I worked pretty much almost full time, 35 hours a week, taking care of a disabled guy. So I'd work all day, and then I'd work overnights at work, and I'd stay overnights in the hospital, and I'd, pay both our rents. And it was just a huge thing. But then, it abruptly ended not abruptly, but it ended in March of 2011. And then in October of 2011, 5 months later, I think that's 5, we moved to Minneapolis. So it's
Wow.
A lot of people met me just after. And, and there was a little while I wasn't really I'm not comfortable talking about it, but it was such a to-do to bring it up in public. I could talk about it, but I don't want to ruin somebody's night.
Sure,
You know?
sure.
Like,
Especially the crowd that you're usually
You
hanging
know.
out with. They're trying to have a good time.
right.
They're all
exactly.
posy and
yeah,
stuff.
And it's
so-
like, so, you know, it's like, if no disrespect to anyone involved, but, you know, sometimes it's better to wait. But
Sure.
the only thing that means anything is a song I wrote that was the first love song I've ever written. And, you know, one of the only love songs I've ever written. I've written one for my wife since then. There was just, I love you no matter what. It doesn't matter. Don't think about tomorrow. This is it. And it's like pure love is like what that song is about. And that's like, you know, she taught me so many things. You know, she was a crazy person. She believed in me more than I believed in me. You know, she was the kind of person, like, first time she met JoJo from Wookiefoot, going back to a Wookiefoot story, you know, they were talking about deep shit and dark shit. And then she's like, oh, yeah. And then she had a pacemaker put in at one point, like a year before she passed, probably. And she had it. And then she's like, you know, pulled her shirt down a little bit, like not down to her boobs or anything, but just pull her shirt down. Like, you want to touch my pacemaker that's keeping me alive, and just blew his damn mind. You know, like, she was just this, you know, on fire person. She did whatever she wanted. You know, she didn't listen to anybody. And when she did, you know, I mean, she listened to people, but I'm saying she did what she wanted to do.
Sure.
You know, so she lived, because when she found out that she had a, you know, any heart transplant, you know, if you get 15 years out of a heart, that's good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And, you know, rejection's a thing, and, like, you know, having to be like a teenager, you know, being on a rigorous, you know, schedule, you know, things
Yeah.
got all messed up.
I would imagine.
You know, but this was the song that really just captured how I learned what love was. And
Yeah.
that helped me. How I learned about love from her is what helped me pretty much dictate how I live the rest of my life.
Yeah.
You know, like,
I would imagine so.
everything I do now and then, and, like, you know, I'm very happily married, and I've been with my wife for years, and you know, I think being with Alyssa, you know, until the end, you know, and learning what it is to be there for someone, you know, when you don't want to be, when it'd be easier. I was 22 years old, like, as a 22-year-old fucking dude, you know, to not just run off. You know, my mom explained this to me as I got older, like, you know, like, it was really crazy what I did. You know, I'm not that much older now, but even so, like, you know, to not just, you know, be like, whatever, you know, everything's going to be fine, and just, like, leaving her and not doing it. Like, I just accepted it and just made it happen.
Yeah.
You know, I was there, you know, and just being there. It's like, you know, I learned so much, and I figured out what love was. Like, I made my own definition. So after it ended and I relocated and I figured out what I wanted, finding someone that I could love and that, you know, was deserving of it was actually kind of easy.
Yeah.
You know, because I knew what I wanted and I knew what I deserved and I knew how to treat people.
Sure.
You know, so, like, or at least I think so. So far, so good. My heart is open, but my heart's been broken. Seems it's time for a change. So I try to look handsome, give a smile and then some. But my eyes are what pulls you in. 'Cause in the end, the only thing that means anything is love, love, love. So let's make enough of love to go around. Your face gives me comfort, and we all need that comfort. Someone to keep us warm when it's cold outside. my secret treasure, with worth beyond measure, is you, you know, darling, it's you. 'Cause in the end, the only thing that means anything is love, love, love. So let's make enough, enough, enough of love to go around.
Maybe it's better to not think of forever. 'Cause right now is all we'll ever have.
So let's make it a good one. We all deserve to have some fun and be happy with just being happy. 'Cause in the end, the only thing that means anything is love, love, love. So let's make enough, enough, enough of love to go around. Is love, love, love. So let's make enough, enough, enough of love to go around.
Yeah, I would imagine, you know, and kind of goes back to your what you were saying about this song, which is that love is your religion.
Yeah.
You know, and we think of love as sort of this universal thing.
Yes.
And that kind of love has to be different than what a lot of people experience, because I'm assuming that you knew this about her when you first started dating her,
Yeah,
right?
she
So,
told
I mean,
me, but I
So
also
when you
didn't.
fall in love with someone, obviously you have no control over,
Right.
oh, I don't want that emotional attachment, you know, but when you know that that person probably doesn't have that long,
Yeah.
I just can't imagine.
There's
it.
a lot of denial that happened, I think, the first couple, because I think we dated for 3 years, and the first year definitely was both of us just there was all denial. Like it was just, you know, just straight to the moon. You know, we just were experiencing life, and then by the last year, like the second year was probably a trend. By the last year, you know, it's really, you know, turned into something completely different, and that was accepting mortality and accepting, you know, vulnerability, and it's weird.
Right.
But it happened.
We're kind of running out of time here.
Sure.
But I'd like to close actually on the subject of mortality. So I think I'll play your last song when I close out the podcast at, you know, later. But
Sure.
But what I'd like to ask people is, do you remember a time in your childhood when you realized your mortality? I don't know. Were you raised religious?
No, I was
Okay.
raised nothing. I was shown things, but no, I was
Yeah.
raised religion free. From like 10 to 12, I was a self-proclaimed Tao Buddhist.
Okay.
I studied Taoism, and I really liked Taoism. But
Yeah.
then
I'd still like to adhere to a lot of those principles.
yeah, the
myself.
principles. That's the thing. The principles of all the religions are just across the board wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
But then you get into dogma, and then it's
becomes a lot less
yeah.
interesting.
And then and I don't want any part of that. So,
Sure.
but no, my parents were glorious. I got to pick.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
Yeah, like I said, picturesque childhood, dude. Like
Yeah.
they did a good job.
But so I guess maybe this memory of yours might be a little bit different than a lot of people, because usually I'm coming from a place of like Christianity. Like
Right.
I was raised Lutheran. You know, a lot of the people that I know were raised Protestant. So
Yeah.
So
Couple
you know
Catholics.
we have, yeah. Well, and I think in the Midwest, there's a lot of Bohemian folks, so mostly Protestant.
Yeah.
So do you remember a specific time when you sort of realized it, or
Like my own mortality, or learned about death?
I
think
suppose
it's
just
different.
Yeah, that's a good distinction. No one's ever tripped me up on that yet.
No, I didn't mean to, but like,
oh, that's fine.
Knowing that things die and then realizing that you're gonna die are two different times.
And I think what I'm getting at, is certainly your own mortality.
My own mortality. I don't know, man. I think it was a while till I really was put in a situation. Probably my first car accident.
Okay. Was it pretty bad?
The car was totaled, but I think it was just that, like, a childlike mindset going into a very dangerous situation, because I was pretty old. I think I was like 14. But I think that was, and then, like, that was the first time I was, ever really thrown off, like, because that things can die and that people die, but for most of one's life, or a lot of one's life, you feel invincible.
Yeah, and you're spending a lot of time running away from that. I feel like that's a lot of what people do, in fact.
So I was probably about 14, and I realized, but then at the same time, when I was 14, I started smoking weed. And that expanded my mind to all sorts of different things,
Yeah.
I mean, not that it didn't hinder my memory or anything like that. It's not a perfect drug, but... But
it's certainly something that opens your mind, though.
Definitely. And so you think about things differently than you would, whether they be right or wrong. I mean, you're different. It's a good perspective builder.
Sure. So you feel like you escaped death at that time when you were?
Yeah, sort of. I mean, I don't think I was in imminent danger. And then a couple years after that, our lead singer Mark, we'd only been a band for about a year. He was in a really bad car accident where his girlfriend had died.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, there's a lot of tragedy, a lot of Dead Larry tragedy. So I was 15 or 16, I was 16 or 17. We had just started this band, and his girlfriend died at the time, and he was in the hospital for months. And that was another, like when someone really close to you deals with something like that, Mark and I both lost the loves of our lives. His was instantaneous and unforeseen, and mine was the opposite.
Yeah.
And then we have this duality in the band where, like, he's a bit darker, I'm a bit more on the light side.
Sure.
And I think that a lot of that has to do with our experiences in our lives,
Yeah.
I think we're both right, but there's a duality to our music, and a lot of that comes from, dealing with these tragic situations.
Just different vantage points, I suppose.
Yep. But at the same time, we're also really good friends. We're brothers. Like everyone, we've been a band for 13 years. We're brothers. I have to have another best friend because none of them can be my best friend because we're brothers, and you can't pick one.
Yeah.
So you have to have another separate outlet because it's like a family.
I would imagine. Well, all right, man.
All right.
I think on that note, we're going to wrap up. But, I want to thank you for taking the time to come down here and record this. I had a lot of fun sitting down.
Yep.
Right on.
We went across the board. It was good.
Right on. Thanks.
Yep. Mwah.
I would like to extend my gratitude to you, my loyal listener, and to those who have been sharing the show. I have noticed an uptick, yet we are still a little ways away from the goal that I proposed of having 1,000 weekly listeners by April 2018. Big thanks to all of you guys, and if you could, please share this show with your friends. I really do appreciate it. And on your way out here, hit that subscribe button if you're not already. One last thing here, though. I would like to give a shout-out again to Nick Bormarito, who I have used his music in the last couple episodes here during the outro. He makes some really fantastic music, so please go and support your local and independent artists, such as Nick Bormarito and our friends from Dead Larry here. So yeah, anyway, I will see you next week, but until then, please take care of yourself, and I hope to see you then.
big old house on a little hill with a big oak tree and a windowsill where flowers grew. I hear they still do. And on the porch there's a rocking chair where Grandma used to sit and stare, drinking cold iced tea in her underwear. I'll be home for the summer, but I believe in the fall. And there's not much left to say, runaway train. And so all ends begin, God help us all. And when I was but 17, my whisk was sharp and my piss was clean. Thought only of tomorrow, and I took what I could borrow. And I set sail bearing due west with a folded map to a treasure chest. And we were pirates, we were pirates. Oh, I'll be home for the summer, and I believe in the fall. And there's not much left to say, runaway train. And so all ends begin, God help us all. Spot, but an empty, dusty chest we got. They beat us to our treasure, our golden jewel pleasure. Oh, now what are we to do? We pirates have turned into a heap of sobbing men, setting sail for home again. Oh, I'll be home for the summer, and I believe in the fall. And there's not much left to say, runaway train. And so all ends begin, God help us all. Now I've grown so gray and old, sitting on my porch, no thought of gold. But vividly I remember the time we spent together. And though those days are far away, I still feel the ocean spray in my mind forever. Off on an adventure, I'll be home for the summer, and I believe in the fall. And there's not much left to say, runaway train. And so all ends begin, God help us all. And so all ends begin, God help us all.